Chairman of National Human Rights Commission, Hon'ble Sir, Honorable Prof. Sir, Dean Hon'ble Sir, professors, colleagues, journalists. Everything is spoken. The universe of knowledge is catered to you. It is already late. I am standing between lunch and your hungry stomach. So I intend not to take a long time, but I must say a few things. A lot of things is said about journalism. I think the media studies is not all about journalism. It's a very wide canvas. You must have been bored. You don't want to be journalist, although you want to be media person. So when we talk about ethics, we try to make it relative to several things. Relative to law. Everything you are doing legally seems ethical. Everything you are doing socially acceptable seems ethical. And the definition of ethics and integrity in the present day world has completely changed. I may be deeply unethical. I may be a corrupt person, but I am considered ethical until and unless my unethical, corrupt acts are not up to society. So that is not ethics. So ethics is basically a personal lifestyle. Forget about anything. I'm very much inclined to tell my own story. I think I can use Nepali language. Everybody is doing it. It's a real story I'm telling you. I used to be editor of a daily newspaper. And at the same time, I was busy. मेरो श्रीमतीले नागरिकता लगेर मेरो नाममा शेयर हाल्दिनु भएछ। 30 किता शेयर पर्यो सनराइज बैंक। बेलुका म डेली पेपरको एडिटिङ सकेर घर गएको श्रीमतीले भन्नुभयो बधाई छ तिमीलाई, तिम्रो नाममा त शेयर फ्याट्टै परिहाल्दो रहेछ आइपिओ। 30 किता पर्यो। सरप्राइज कसले भन्यो शेयर मैले भने होइन। आइपिओ हाल्न त केही नि गर्दैन। फाइन सबैले लाइन लागेर हालिरहेछ। तिमी त अर्थशास्त्र पनि पढाए मान्छे, शेयर नहाल्ने हुन्छ र? सो वी ह्याड अ बिग फाइट। मैले भने भोलि यो शेयर बेच्दिनु र मेरो नागरिकता कहिले पनि युज किन होला? आजको दिनसम्म यो देशमा कुनै पनि कम्पनीको मेरो एउटा पनि शेयर छैन। म भन्छु म भन्न सक्छु कुन कम्पनीको शेयर बढ्छ घट्छ। मेरो साथीहरू सोच्छन् शेयर फलानु कम्पनीको बढ्दैछ, अनि उनीहरू नै भन्छन् तैँले खेल्या भए त करोडपति त धेरै पहिले हुने रहेछ। देयर इज अ प्रब्लम। हामी भाषण चाहिँ दिन्छौँ, अभ्यास गर्न धेरै गाह्रो कुरा छ। भयो कि म लेख्छु, आई राइट। मलाई भित्र मनदेखि के लाग्यो भने म लेख्ने मान्छे त्यो मेरो कम्पनीको बढ्दै लो बढ्दै जाँदाखेरि मैले लेख्ने बेलामा त्यो कम्पनीको नाम लेख्नु पर्ने भयो भनेदेखि त मेरो हात त कामला। इट इज आई एम प्र्याक्टिसिङ इट। दुःख छ। सो इफ यु वान्ट टु बी एथिकल, धेरै दुःख हुन्छ। एक्सेप्ट द्याट। इफ यु वान्ट टु बी सुडो एथिकल, फर्गेट अबाउट इट। आजको दिनसम्म म आई क्यान प्राउडली से किन नराखेको, किन सम्पत्तिमा नखेलेको अर्थशास्त्री भएर। एज लङ एज आई कन्सिडर माइसेल्फ आई एम एडुकेटिङ द मासेस, आई सुड बी बिलिभिङ। अघि निर्मल सरले भन्नुभयो यो हामीले प्रोड्युस गरे विद्यार्थीहरू विदेश जान्छ, उतै हराउँछ। दुःखको कुरा इट्स नेचुरल। नर्सरीदेखि अंग्रेजी माध्यममा पढाउने भने त जुन देशमा देशको मातृभाषा अंग्रेजी हो त्यहाँ जाऊ भने हो नि त। यहाँ काम गर भने हो र किन दुख्नु? We are preparing manpower for them. नर्सरीदेखि चाइनिजमा मात्रै पढाएर चीनमा बढी तलब भयो भने त चीनमै जाने हो नि तपाईँ। हिन्दी नर्सरीदेखि हिन्दीमै मात्रै एजुकेसन दिनुभयो भने त इन्डियै जाने हो नि। तपाईँले जानेकै लागि पढाउनु भएको विद्यार्थी हो, किन दुख्नु? साँच्चै के भने मैले धेरै भन्ने गरेको छु, हामीले जुन पढाइ गरिराखेका छौँ एउटा अनौठो पुस्ता, तपाईँ मिडियाको मान्छे भएको हुनाले म भन्छु, हामीले जेनेरेट गरिरहेको छ। I see very young students managing their English, barely managing their English in expression. That means they don't have enough knowledge of English to reach out to the philosophical debate, to manage their profession. That is natural because that is not their mother tongue. अब अंग्रेजीमा राम्ररी लेख्न सक्दैनौ, नेपालीमा लेख नि त। अंग्रेजी त आएन, नेपालीमा लेख्ने जान्दैन। सो ठुलठुला भाषणका गफका कुरा छोडिदिउँ। We are creating a generation that does not know English. I can bet. तपाईहरुले 17 वर्ष अंग्रेजी पढिसकेपछि 2 प्याराग्राफ यहाँ बसेर अंग्रेजीमा लेख्नु भन्नु छैन। नेपालीमा लेख्नुस् न त, नेपाली त छँदै छैन। छँदै छैन। म एफएम सुन्छु, टेलिभिजन सुन्छु। मेरो आमाले एकदम बोर गर्छ यार इज नेपाली दिस डेज। यस, आस्क योर कलिग नेपाल। हामीले एउटा जेनेरेसन के एथिक्सको कुरा, भाषण दिन मिल्छ, संस्कृतको श्लोक पनि भन्न मिल्छ, तर वी आर क्रिएटिङ अ जेनेरेसन जुन अंग्रेजी जान्दैन, जान्दिएको भए हुन्थ्यो, नेपाली आउँदैन भनेपछि हाम्रो ज्ञानसम्मको, एथिक्ससम्मको, समाजसम्मको टुट्यो। इफ यू क्यान फिल त्यो कनेक्सन कहीँनिर जोड्न सकिन्छ कि, थिङ्क अबाउट इट, थिङ्क अबाउट इट। अब मिडिया एथिक्सको कुरा आछ। मिडिया एथिक्स इज नट सोलो डोलो थिङ, होल सोल थिङ। कम्तीमा देयर आर 4 पिलर्स अफ मिडिया इन दिस डेज। We had traditional print media, we came to an age of audiovisual media, then we practiced new media and social media. Okay, people jile भन्नुभयो सोशल मिडिया मिडिया हो र? हो रहेछ त, सोशल मिडियाले चुनाव हराउने र जिताउने गर्दियो। मिडिया होइन रहेछ? It's such a powerful media. It created new party. You researchers can put effort how much contribution the social media did in making winner or loser in this election. It's your responsibility as young students. Do it. The media authority. So when we say we have got the 4 different pillars of media, your other kind of media, in your media studies you may be a sound mixture, visual mixture. So all 4 pillars of media have got the different ethics. Print ma ke lekhne na lekhne. हिजो हाम्रो पालामा फोटो मोर्फिङ गर्ने नगर्ने हुन्थ्यो। Photoshopping भन्थ्यो हामी। अब photoshopping भन्यो इट्स इन होल वर्ल्ड। भिडियोग्राफी, इन्फर्म्ड कन्सेन्ट, युजिङ सब्जेक्ट, जर्नलिजम। अब अहिले हिउँ चितुवाको डाँडाको पिक्चर रियल हो कि होइन, इज अ बिग डिबेट। The benevolence of that debate can go very far. के भन्यो? त्यसले के हार्म गरेछ र हिउँ चितुवाको चाहिँ नि त्यहाँनिर खिचेको फोटो ठिकै थियो त। So the ethics related to new media, social media is yet to be devised, globally devised. Whether Elon Musk should take over Twitter is a big ethical debate. The school, globally, school in media is divided. Therefore, again, only best remedy for ethical practice is ask your heart. Are you ethical by practice, or you're pretending to be ethical in social form, in social eyes, in legal eyes, in civilizational eyes, in professional eyes? That is one part of the media ethics. There is entirely another part of media ethics that is driven by 2 major movements in media. One is the corporatization of media. If you consider that there should be a media house, it should earn profit, and you should be paid well, be that a cinematography company, be that a reality show company, be that a photography, be that be a photography practice, be that be journalism, be that be advocacy journalism, be that be development journalism. Biggest part is there a line between a corporate house that owns media that earns profit and your space of freedom to exercise your kind of freedom of expression? In media, there used to be a traditional word called self-censorship. Now there is advertisement censorship. You bring in media, you bring in visual, you may have a YouTube channel. You are very cautious whether you put that material in the web, because you may be hurting the income that comes from the advertisement. So it's a very, very big issue that has come with the rising trend of consumerism and the corporatization has been a very big challenge. I am not saying it is good or bad, but see the competition, the cutthroat competition on going live in real time. If there is a very big news, big event, that is again journalism. In the name of making very artistic cinema, how much can you edit the content? It is the same thing. What is your objective? Is your objective to be ethical? So be prepared to be poor. If your objective to earn money by creating sensation, by being first to cater the news, it is entirely a different thing. That is, I am talking in terms of corporatization. The corporatization of media, how do you want to see it? In this sense, let me add one thing. The traditional idea of media as catering information has been dead. Because there are so many platforms, the event gets reported into the handheld device in a second. You don't have to wait next morning for a newspaper to come. You don't need to switch on the television station to get what happened today. Before you sit in front of the television screen or online media, news in some form is already in your hands. So when we talk about media, we need to reinvent the wheel of ethics, not only the wheel of ethics, but wheel of our creativity. What are we going to cater next? के गर्नु? समाचार त थाहा भइसक्यो, जानकारी थाहा भइसक्यो. Who is the best dancer? The TikTok has already catered from the reality show. So what is your next content going to be in next 10 years in media studies? It is the responsibility of the professors, of the researchers, to find out, look into the new way of teaching media, teaching mass communication. So world things are dead. So let me just confine with that this corporatization and consumerism of the media challenge that comes about. The second aspect I wanted to highlight is the medium. Is the medium an extent of sensitization? I repeat the word. How much can you sensitize the content? It is like how much makeup can you put on your face? It is like how much you can color your hair. It is like how much perfume you can put in your body after you are dressed up. So, why I am raising this issue, be that elections, be that economy, be that human rights. So, what is the extent you can sensitize in every four pillars of the medium I talked about, be that print, audiovisual, new media, or social media? Why I am raising this? We have reached to a stage we can only leave it to the personal ethics of the individual. Whether you would put wrong thing and right thing in your Facebook, nobody can contain. Forget about media council. Forget about press council. Forget about judiciary. They don't have power to contain what you do. Who can contain? Elon Musk tried it. Once he took it over to Twitter. He said, okay, if you don't give me $8, then I will not give you the blue tick. But he failed. A policeman can come, do this, do that. We have got the all monitoring, scanning, surveillance ability on your media. It has become impossible. The proliferation of the platforms of the media. What can contain is your ethics. If you are internally ethical, not by legal compulsion, not by social compulsion, if you only determine to do the right thing in the media, then only the media is going to remain ethical. When I say media, it is not only the journalism I am talking about. All kind of media. How much ethical you are when you go to the street and shoot video. How much ethical you can be in mixing the video. How much ethical you can be in using the 3D medium. Very soon we may or may not have access to 3D printers. What are you going to print in 3D? So as the world becomes highly globalized, technology gets transferred, our challenges on ethically managing media becomes even greater. But it is not that challenging. So, all the problems are solved once we become humans, not machines. Intend not to sensitize. And the only final thing that can happen in media is you should be able to communicate between you and your audience. हामीले स्वस्ति भाषण गरेर सुनायौं. Honestly raise your hand. स्वस्तिको अर्थ कति जनालाई थाहा छ? भाषणै गर्दै सिकायौं हामीले त. पहिलो वर्ड स्वस्तिको कति जनालाई? Raise your hands. How many of you know? How many of you know the meaning of swasti? Word meaning? One in the audience. Is that the 2, 3?
Among the audience, I know. Okay,
5, 6. So what are we doing? We are doing the same thing in media. We are catering, but not communicating. It's so simple thing. Swasti is suasti. Be good. Let good happen. Kalyan ho. Even the media people impose a lot of things to the public. Don't know whether they understand it or not. The same thing also happening in media teaching. We are saying 1,000 things, and when you start to ask, how much have you taken at the end within your brain? Has it gone inside? There is a problem. So it's a huge canvas. I don't want to keep on going and going. Thank you for listening. Even to me, being last speaker is always a big challenge. Thank you, dignitaries, for being here. Thank you for the opportunity to interact with you. Sometime I will find time to talk to all the media studies students. Being with you for a whole day, probably I will take you for the retreat and talk about it in detail, whatever I would like to. Thank you very much.